Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher's Circus. Today we are going to be watching a match between myself and Just Jumping, and it looks like we're both going to be using Stress Teams, and we're both going to be using the Flagellant Abomination combo, though I do get to go first, so I have kind of a more defensive Stress Team, having a Man-at-Arms and a very dodgy Grave Robber in the back, as well as an extremely tanky Flagellant. While my opponent looks like he has more of a Stress Team that's supposed to race the enemy team, between having both the Occultist and the Grave Robber, as well as a not very tanky Abomination, and using a Flagellant with only the Gauntlet of Absolution, it does look like my team is going to be more on the defensive side, so in this specific matchup this might be quite bad for us. So I do decide to go for a Slam on that A-Bomb, since I did go first. That's quite good, because he put his Abomination in position too, so he gets decently punished for it by just getting slammed to the back. Then my opponent goes for a Rain of Sorrows, which surprisingly hits my Grave Robber. It was like a 50-50 of hitting. Of course, my Grave Robber, even with the bolster, she has immense amounts of dodge, so I'm expecting her to get some dodges, but that's already 2 abilities hitting and no dodges yet. So between you see me highlighting that the tentacles, the ceiling spaghetti accuracy, it's not that big, so I'm quite surprised that he just managed to hit like pretty much two 50-50. So I just decided to, let's go Toxin Trickery, let's buff the dodge up even more, and let's clear that DOT that the Flagellant applied on us, and the Grave Robber should be fine from now on. Now, in hindsight, maybe it would have been better for me to slam this Flagellant, because even though my opponent has an Abomination position too, he does have an answer in case he gets slammed to the back. So you can go Shadow Fade with that Grave Robber, and now I don't really have a way of preventing that Abomination from acting, or just de-stealthing that Grave Robber to make her action useless. Unfortunately, we're just gonna have to go for a punish. I go for the highest hit chance on that Flash just to try and exhaust him a little bit, and yeah, the Abomination is still gonna get whacked. He can either go Bile here, or he can transform. I'm expecting a transform. He might go for a slam on my Abomination, but considering that I just got the move res from transforming, we should be totally fine here. So he is gonna go for it. I do have very high move resistance, and he doesn't have a trinket that actually gives him any move chance, so I'm quite happy with this situation. So because I did manage to go first, I mean, it's so oppressive going first in a stress versus stress matchup, because both players are usually gonna use A-Bomb. So when you go first, you get to go for the first slam, you get to go for the first B-Spile. So now if my opponent wants to go B-Spile, he has to hit into my Repast, so going first definitely helped us out quite a bit here. But of course, the defensive trinkets like the Pit Fighter's Helm and the Exotic Snuff on my Flagellant are going to be quite useless, since I'm not really fighting a damage team. My opponent here, like, that is just wild. He goes Shadow Fade, so the next Panic Darts is going to be like really potent, and he manages to just hit my Grave Robber. You see me flicking the mouse all over the place, because I am quite annoyed with that. He went for like less than a 50% hit chance, having an A-Bomb to hit, having a Man-at-Arms to hit. My opponent just decides to go like extremely chancy, and doesn't get punished for it one bit. He's hit 3 abilities out of 3 on my Grave Robber, even with that Toxin Trickery and the Bolster, and I do have the absolute maximum amount of dodge in terms of trinkets that we can have, so I am quite sad that this is the outcome that the match is taking. So that enemy Occultist doesn't actually have weird reconstruction, and look, there's another one. Yeah, there's another one. At this point, I'm getting kind of tired of just swaying the mouse over, because I've been hit so many times that I don't even know how to react anymore. But hopefully, okay, we do go Selfish, so we get an extra 5 dodge. I am quite happy about that. I do move forward here, which is it's not the end of the world. It honestly probably won't even matter that much. We decide to go for a bit of a chancy Panic Darts on that Occultist, because we do have to focus him down. That Stygian Embrace is quite powerful, but you can only use it on other characters, and honestly it's not going to help him that much this match, because between me having the B-Smile and all that, and just being a stress team, his heal with stress isn't really the tool for this kind of matchup. It isn't a tool for the job. So I decide not to go command here, which I might regret in hindsight, because he does have some decent dodge in the form of that Occultist and Grave Robber, even though he doesn't have a lot of dodge trinkets, or any dodge trinkets at all, honestly. but maybe going for a command would have still been the play here, because none of my characters actually have like a confirmed 100% hit chance, other than the Abomination, I think, because he does have 2 accuracy trinkets in the form of the Regis Cloak and I believe the net, right, for the move chance. So my opponent just goes de-transform into a heal, quite an interesting play. Usually you see the Abomination after he transforms round 1, he just goes into a Beast Bile, but of course he was in quite a dangerous position, you know, he was at death's door, and going for a Bile into a riposte, maybe not the best play, considering that he does want to transform twice, just like I do. So I just keep spamming that Bellow. I'm completely disregarding the enemy dodge, and why am I doing that? Well, in my head, I'm thinking like, well, he's gotten so lucky, there's no way I get unlucky with like 80% hit chances, and he hits every single 50-50, right? That's definitely not what's gonna happen here, guys. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna jinx it. So I decide to just keep focusing that A-bomb, you know, just bring him down, hopefully get an Affliction going. Maybe an Affliction that makes him pass or something like that, you know, prevent him from getting the second transform. That would be absolutely awesome. So we can't really hope on it too much. Now, there's a lot of DOT and the Horror already stacked on my Grave Robber. That's the first dodge, by the way, by pretty much like the middle of round 3. Kind of insane that the first dodge with the Grave Robber was right there, but it's honestly too little too late, because she's just gonna eat a lot of Horror. But yeah, you see me going for a Panic Dart, so it was like a 70% hit chance, and my opponent, yeah, I'm just going wild here. My opponent just goes for all the 50-50s, all the 40s, all the 60s, hits every single one except like the last. With that Train of Sorrows, so like only misses the 5th time, and the first time I go for a really chancy play, which was like something under 80%, he just gets the kill. He just gets the dodge, and then he goes for the immediate vulnerability hex, gets the kill as well. It is quite lucky that he got that 25% death roll. It honestly doesn't really matter, because she was gonna die anyway, but I guess that just adds insult to injury that he got the kill with the 25. But yeah, this is not looking too grand, because my Man-at-Arms is also pretty much at death's door. He's pretty much gonna die soon, you know, like with 1 Panic Darts and the transformation that the Abomination might do right here, you know, the Man-at-Arms, we can pretty much expect him to drop like another command or 2 and he's gone. And the enemy Grave Robber is still totally fine. The enemy Flagellant is not as healthy as our Flag, but this is pretty much going to be a 2v4 right now, honestly, because that Man-at-Arms, he's just there to soak up some damage at this point and maybe drop a command. You see me highlighting the Snuff. I don't want to allow my opponent to just go slam on my Flagellant, so his chance of actually slamming me would be super minimal. So since I did actually get 2 transformations in a row with the A-bomb, I mean, he couldn't even move me. He needed to get a crit to even have a chance of moving me. So we're totally chill here. I decided to go for a Beast Bile, you know, potentially get a death blow, apply some more blight to the enemy characters. We get quite an unnecessary crit. My favorites are the unnecessary crits, obviously. We get a crit with Beast Bile, which probably would have rolled for like 30 stress, considering it's at that story. It only rolls for 10 because, you know, he was close to Affliction. But what can you do? That's just the way it is. You know, getting a crit is still good, because if he does decide to hit into the riposte, since Abomination's crit is actually plus damage, that means that if he does decide to hit into it, I will be totally chill. So my opponent here, I mean, his Abomination's already expanded his use. That Occultist is in quite a bad situation, because he can't heal himself. He didn't bring Weird Reconstruction, which is kind of a weird play, because, you know, Salt Machine is nice, but it is a play I can respect, because Stygian Embrace is really, really powerful against damage teams, and usually more useful than the, how do you call it? More useful than the Weird Reconstruction. So he goes for what I first thought, well, that's quite a suspicious vulnerability hex, only doing 9 stress. But yeah, that's gonna make my Man-at-Arms just drop to Affliction, and then with the Horror he's gonna drop to death, so he's pretty much gonna be halfway to Heart Attack. Fortunately though, I get a 25% death blow and a crit on that A-bomb, so the luck is somewhat turning around. That is a really good outcome for us, because that means I'm not gonna have to spend any more actions on just disposing of that Abomination. My opponent here decides to go for a Redeem, heals himself for a crit, 48, kind of unnecessary here. He gets a double dodge. You know, once again, I should have used command like freaking 2 rounds ago. But yeah, quite a lucky double dodge. I failed both 70s. I don't really want the damage debuffs, they're useless. But I would appreciate getting the stress through, because that's going to be quite important here. I need to get that Grave Robber afflicted, you know, maybe get abusive, maybe get masochistic to just lower her dodge. And yeah, that's what we're gonna have to roll for. So he gets another 25% death row. I honestly don't care once again, because he had enough horror stacked, and the stress from the panic darts would just do enough. So fortunately, we are not missing the very important 70 here, you know, the punish on that occultist. It's gonna drop him to death's door, it's gonna apply a lot of stress, it's gonna apply the horror on top. So that was a critical punish not to miss there. Of course, the exotic snuff is gonna be reducing our accuracy by 4 and also being totally useless here. You know, it's also giving us plus 10% damage, but do you really want 10% damage as a flagellant? Not really, it's not gonna help us one bit. So right now, we are still down in terms of characters, so I have the potential of going manacles here. I can pretty much stun whoever I want aside from the Flagellant, but I just want to apply some stress first. I want to get that Grave Robber afflicted, I want to kill that occultist, and then maybe I can try perma-stunning that Grave Robber. Even though I don't have the stun trinket, I have the net, which is still really useful because it's gonna make my my manacles pretty much never miss. With the plus 16 accuracy from both trinkets, it becomes a super high accuracy ability. It goes up to like 130 almost. It's insane. It's actually insane how accurate that ability becomes. So here my opponent goes for he's gonna try focusing down my Flagellant here, which is an interesting play. You know, instead of hitting into my riposte constantly and then just letting me go reclaim and redeem on my A-bomb and just letting me win through that way, he's instead gonna preemptively focus on my Flagellant before I force him to do so. So interesting play, potentially a good one as well, but it's gonna take him a while to just pierce his way through my flash, because he's still like 40 stress away from affliction. Look at that, masochistic, really good masochistic. That's minus 15 dodge on that Grave Robber. You can pretty much forget whatever kind of dodge he had. So that is a great outcome for us, and the enemy Flagellant goes Rapturous from the stress coming from the occultist dying. So quite a good outcome for us right now. Now it's back to a 2v2. So my Flage, he still has all his healing. He hasn't used a single redeem or exsanguinate. He has 3 exsangs, 2 redeems, of course. So he's totally chilling here, honestly. He finally goes afflicted by round 6. You know, the pressure from the vulnerability hexes, the punishes, and the panic darts is a little too much, even for the Gauntlet of Absolution bolster. I mean, eventually he's gonna get afflicted, and he's taking a lot of the OT right now. Of course, I'm not gonna go for the immediate redeem. You only want to use redeem and exsanguinate in this kind of situation where you're already at death's door. And even then, sometimes it's gonna be better to just wait off a bit, but I'll get into that soon, because I do feel like this is gonna be one of those kinds of situations. You know, sometimes the healing skills are going down so much, you might be better off just waiting one round of the OT and then going for the hit. Sometimes that's what happens here, but we're gonna have to see what happens. So of course that Grave Robber not feeling too great. She's taking a lot of blight. She's taking, like, I don't know, pretty much half her HP in terms of blight from that beast file. And she's also afflicted and still has a bit of horror on her, so it's a matter of me just picking, do I want to go Respout or do I want to go Manacles to stun her? Of course my Flagellant Fez is gonna go with that heal. I'm thinking, do I want to go Redeem or do I want to go Exsanguinate? Well, I both want to heal my Abomination. I want to top him off. I want to make sure that he's healthy, happy, and has all his needs tended to, because the A-bomb is really going to be our carry here against that Grave Robber. But keep in mind that A-bomb versus Flagellant is a really bad matchup for this Abomination, because since he's in position 1, you can only hit him with Manacles. If you're both the last characters alive, you're doing like pretty much 3 to 4 damage. You're healing his stress, and you're very unlikely to get a stun. So having an Abomination versus Flagellant endgame is absolutely horrible, so it is imperative that I keep this Flagellant alive to deal with the enemy Flagellant, because the Abomination can't do it. He simply can't do it. I can't win through stress, because every single ability I do, I'm just gonna heal his stress. So I can't let that happen. I need to keep the Abomination alive, but I need to keep the Flagellant alive, but I need to make sure that I can take down his Grave Robber as well, because the Grave Robber does have the tools to take down my Flagellant, unlike the Abomination. So it's kind of a weird situation here, because the Abomination counters Grave Robber, the Flagellant counters the Abomination, but the Grave Robber also counters the Flagellant. So I need to take down his Grave Robber, and he needs to take down my Flag, because if he takes down my Flagellant, my Abomination can't do anything against his Flagellant, because if he goes for one heal with Exsanguinate, he heals for like almost his entire HP, and I'm gonna have to go through like what, 5, 6, 7 manacles to actually just get him down to death's door again. That's totally impossible to win. So I'm just focusing on bringing that Flagellant to death's door, making sure that he has to expend his healing. So in case my Flagellant does die, I will actually have a winning chance with my A-bomb. And at the same time, I'm using my A-bomb to deny the Grave Robber her turns and to just try and pull off a winning situation for me here. Fortunately, I get a really good dodge here. My Abomination does manage to get that dodge from the Exsanguinate. He didn't have any extra accuracy, so he just managed to pull the win, even though we were in quite a dangerous situation earlier. Also, I forgot to mention at the start, but this team I was playing belongs to Jayne Moon. We've seen him on the channel a couple times. He's a really cool guy to play with. And I hope you guys enjoyed the match, and I'll see you again another time. Cheers.